Picking up on what Roy said actually about the number 7 and 1 being the centre, and arguably, here at Surrey and our environmental psychology programme is in the centre. So we're now going to show you the 6 different directions that it could take you in from doing this course, because that's the great thing about the programme. You can go off and use that knowledge in so many different areas and different disciplines. And so we're going to hear 3 of those right now. So first of all, can I welcome up Daniel Iacofano? He was a graduate student here in 78, 79, so one of the first early cohorts. He's currently the CEO and president of MIG, which is a US consultancy firm, a very successful one, I should add there, on planning, design and sustaining environments that support human development.
Reflections. Thank you very much for inviting me here to be with all of you on this 50-year anniversary. I graduated from the University of Cincinnati in 1976 in urban planning with an emphasis on urban design. But I had taken a course, Social Factors in Environmental Design, taught by Thomas Jenkins, a graduate of the University of Chicago Urban Sociology School. And I became convinced that a lot of the problems in the urban planning profession were largely due to issues that could be addressed through a better understanding of the social sciences, the things that really drive people, that motivate people, that determine whether plans just sit on the shelves or actually get implemented, and whether those plans reflect the ideas, the desires, and priorities of the communities and the people that are affected by the plans. So that's when I discovered the University of Surrey, after a year and a half of working in the profession, a year playing electric guitar in a top 40 covers band around Ohio in the Midwest. And then it brought me here to the environmental psychology program 45 years ago. So what's interesting about this group of 10 students, these 2 got married, Fiona and Stu from Australia. They moved to Australia. And then these 2 got married. Susan became my business partner and life partner for 37 years. She passed away in 2016, I'm sorry to say. But in the meanwhile, we built quite an organization of people. We call it MIG. Robin Moore was the M. He didn't actually build the firm, though. Susan and I built that up over the years. And starting officially in 1982, and we've been working hard at it, and we've have based the firm on the sciences of ecology and social science. That's the underpinnings of MIG. And we felt that this actually provided a basis for a lot of work. And you can see the places we've worked across the United States and elsewhere around the world. We've had some impact, I believe, bringing together the knowledge that we've gained here at Surrey and all our other work. I started a PhD program at Berkeley, finished that in, when was it? 1986, finally, having started MIG in 1982. And you can see most of our offices are there on the West Coast, and we've been operating now in 6 states. We have 6 different practice areas: planning, design, communications, management. We have a science group as well as a technology group as an integral part of the firm. But there are clearly some theoretical foundations that I wanted to highlight. And just like Kurt Levine said, nothing so practical as a good theory. And I believe that to this day. So the psychology of place, thank you, David, and for bringing us here and bringing us to this wonderful program. I based my PhD dissertation on the multidimensional scalegram analysis. Who can forget that if you've been here at Surrey for any length of time? The Theory of Affordances by James Gibson underlies our work in universal design. Social Life in the Public Realm, William White. Donald Appleyard is who I came to study with at UC Berkeley. He had just released this book, 1981, Livable Streets. Group dynamics is a key part of our work in terms of community facilitation and engagement. Systems thinking, our book Play for All really draws on the science of child development, Piaget, and all the people that work in that same vein. That was a huge milestone for us. And also in terms of our book about meeting management and facilitation, meeting of the minds. All of that theoretical foundation has found its way into this work. And then lastly, inclusive city, about the principles of universal design and how that can make for a better environment for people of all abilities. Some of the key projects I wanted to highlight here in this presentation was one that was led by Susan. It was an incredible opportunity to say, we want to build a child-friendly courthouse just for the handling in LA County the number of cases that were based on the family issues and the breakup of families, the hurt that children experience if their parents are somehow disabled or become addicts or in other ways are maybe killed in automobile accidents. Where do they go? And it's sad to think that an entire courthouse building was necessary just for the purposes of family court. But they were being held in hallways that were just miserable, echoey. You can imagine the old courthouses of yesteryear, just not exactly a child-friendly environment. That was the brief we were given. We started off with the understanding of how to make these projects real. So there were a number of work sessions, as you see, interacting with the users of this environment. The child and family sensitive guidelines were developed. That's the courthouse. That's what got built. That's actually a metal detector. And this is what children and families would see when they enter into this facility. You can see we tested actually different designs of the courtroom to see which one worked better from a child perspective. And the one that came out was this one. It was not the round one that we thought it was going to be, but based on interviews with the children and the workers there in that program, we came up with these designs to show that the interview process, the way in which children are addressed in that facility, really would change how the court process would work for them and hopefully result in a better experience. What you're seeing here are the shelter care facilities that are held while courts are in session, and these child-scaled environments were a really important part of this whole project. And you would not see a courthouse like that anywhere else, I believe. Some of our other projects that illustrate our understanding of child development with these American schools in other places around the world, you just get a feel for that. Hands-on children's museums, really built according to child scale and understanding of what children need to have a great environment. And the very last project that Susan worked on, Hemisphere Park in San Antonio, Texas, in 2015 when it opened. Since then, every year it's voted the best park in San Antonio. Pretty remarkable place. Talks about the origin story of San Antonio, and the children's play is very rich and very active and very dynamic throughout. And that's the story there. The other part of it on our business of MIG is about streets. And we decided to take on the issue of remaking America's streets. And we can all chart the progress of the development of urban America with this massive interstate highway system that was initiated by President Eisenhower in the late 50s after post-World War II development. It led to massive suburbanization, exurbanization as well of America, and it did not necessarily create the best quality environments, okay? And this is what we ended up with. Maybe 33% of the land area in our American downtowns is taken up by roadways. That's ridiculous. You can land a 737 in some of the boulevards that we've created right in downtown Dallas, for example. So we decided to take on what we called re-streets, to rethink America's streets, and we developed a whole system of looking at what street functions could be if they were not just strictly devoted to vehicular transportation. So this is our resulting publication from all that effort. A lot of design thinking went into that, and we also developed a lot of actual streetscape and urban design plans. This is a street we remade in West Sacramento, and you can see some of the details, some of the places, all of which are extremely accessible from an ADA, Americans with Disabilities standpoint. So we embody the principles of universal design in all of our projects, as you can see here. And a lot of special art and local artists are brought in to help create that local character and community feeling. These are just some examples of that. Here's Bell Street in Seattle, Washington. The before and after images of what was done there turned the street into a multi-user environment with movable chairs and furniture in the manner of what William White often talked about, the idea of having agency by these kinds of facilities, movable elements of various kinds. And then in San Antonio, again, multiple streets showing the different ways in which the environment can be changed. That's what actually resulted, just like the way we drew it up. It's very festive, and more streets are being built and being designed as we speak. There's also the opportunity to have food grown on the streets and turn that into community gardens, or use of green infrastructure to generate places for habitat recreation right in our urban neighborhoods, as you can see here in Seattle, Washington. Pretty innovative, done by our office in Seattle. Finally, the idea of using psychology, social science in messaging campaigns. You may have heard the worldwide effort called Vision Zero, to eliminate all fatalities and injuries associated with people and vehicular collisions. This happens to be Sasquatch here, just an element of humor to bring into play. And then the SMTA Vision Zero campaign is just an example of this work. And we've used this kind of messaging as designed by our firm to help change driver behavior, because it's a lot easier and less costly if you can change behavior than redesigning and rebuilding all of the streets and the intersections in downtown San Francisco, just to give you an idea of how that works. And then lastly, our processes are very inclusive in how we engage the people we work with, the people that are going to feel the impact of our projects. So we do a lot in terms of community engagement. We use methods that we learned here at Surrey and elsewhere in order to develop that highly interactive process, engaging people now through social media and other means in order to have environments that are truly reflective of their needs, their priorities, their visions and desires. And you can see some of the interactive techniques here that we use, including performance evaluation of real environments, so we know how well they're performing and whether they're meeting our expectations and the expectations of the communities that we work with. And that is our story. Thank you very much.